Good morning. Let us move on to the next type of thermosetting polymer, that is polyurethanes. The third category, that is the polyurethanes. See here, these polyurethanes, they are prepared by reacting polyalcohols. They are prepared by the reaction between polyalcohols and diisocyanates. Polyalcohols and diisocyanates. See here, polyalcohols means more than one OH group will be present in that particular compound, that is polyalcohols, and diisocyanate means it will be having two isocyanate group. Isocyanate group, it is NCO, isn't it? Isocyanate group is NCO, and here it is polyalcohols means more than two OH groups will be present. So by the reaction between these two, we will be having this polyurethanes. So let us move on to one example. For example, ethylene glycol. Ethylene glycol, the formula is CH2OH, CH2OH, isn't it? So I am writing it in a straight chain fashion. CH2OH, then CH2OH. This is ethylene glycol. Ethylene glycol. So N molecules of ethylene glycol, it will be reacting with ethylene diisocyanate. Diisocyanate means two NCO groups will be there. So ethylene diisocyanate, that is CH2 single bond CH2, then NC double bond O. Here also NC double bond O. Ethylene diisocyanate. Ethylene diisocyanate. So here on reaction between these two, what happens is that this from this part, this O minus and H plus, isn't it? This is ionized form. So this from this part, this hydrogen will be moving to this nitrogen atom. Sorry, here one double bond is present. N double bond, C double bond O, N double bond, C double bond O. So this hydrogen will be moving to this oxygen atom. Not oxygen atom, this nitrogen atom. Okay, so this bond will be broken and two valencies will be freed, one for carbon atom and the other for this nitrogen atom, and the hydrogen will be joining this nitrogen atom. Okay, so we can write the compound. So here it becomes O, isn't it? O, then CH2, then again CH2, then O. This part also will be added up. Single bond. So this OH, this hydrogen, again this hydrogen will be moving as H plus, isn't it? This will be moving with another, this will be combining with another ethylene diisocyanate part, and this hydrogen, it will be, this H plus will be moving to this nitrogen atom. Okay, so this O minus will be attached to this carbon atom, so it becomes O, C double bond O, then here it becomes a single bond NH, isn't it? Hydrogen will be attacking this nitrogen atom, NH, single bond CH2, single bond CH2, again N, the previous case NH, then C double bond O. Okay, again the bond will be there as polymerization takes place. Okay, so the only thing you have to note down here, it is this H plus will be joining this nitrogen atom and the O minus will be attacking this carbon. Okay, after this bond breaks. So this is the polyurethane, the thermosetting polymer, polyurethane. Okay. Then the next is coming to the properties. Properties, I will just read it out. So properties, see this, they are highly resistant to oxidation due to saturated character. Saturated character means no double bonds are present, isn't it? And then in the case of polyurethanes, no double bonds are there. Then good resistance to organic solvents, not easily attacked by this organic solvents, but easily attacked by acids, alkalis, especially hot and concentrated acids and alkalis. Then polyurethane forms are light, tough and resistant to heat, abrasion, chemicals and weathering. Okay, so these are some of the properties. Highly resistant, then due to saturated character, good resistance to organic solvents but easily attacked by acids, alkalis, etc. Then they are light, tough and resistant to heat, abrasion, chemicals and weathering. Then the next is uses. used for surface coating and manufacture of foams and spandex fibers. Okay, used in the manufacture of spandex fibers and foams. So these are some of the uses and properties of this polyurethanes. Next we can go through the next category, that is the epoxy resins. The fourth category, epoxy resins. Epoxy resins. So this epoxy resins, they are prepared by the reaction between bisphenol and epichlorohydrin. Bisphenol and epichlorohydrin. So first of all, you have to study the preparation of bisphenol and epichlorohydrin. So first one, preparation of epichlorohydrin. Preparation of epichlorohydrin. See here, an unsaturated compound it is taken at the start of the reaction for preparing epichlorohydrin. So I am taking one alkene, that is CH2 double bond CH single bond CH3. What is this compound? This is propene, isn't it? With a double bond, CH2 double bond CH single bond CH3 plus chlorine molecule at 400 degrees Celsius. And what happens is that one of the hydrogen will be eliminated from this position. Okay, CH3 is present. So one hydrogen from this carbon and one chlorine will be eliminated as HCl. Okay, so another chlorine atom, it will be attacking this CH2. So that the compound becomes CH2 double bond CH single bond CH2 Cl. Okay, so one hydrogen from this carbon and one chlorine will be eliminated as HCl. Then again this CH2Cl. Okay, so this compound, what is this compound? CH2 double bond CH single bond CH2Cl. This is allyl chloride. Allyl chloride. Okay, then again this allyl chloride, it is on treating with water and chlorine at 300 degrees Celsius. In presence of water and chlorine at 300 degrees Celsius. So what happens is that this double bond breaks, and double bond breaks, two valencies are freed up here. So to the one valency chlorine will be attacking, and to the other valency other carbon OH group will be attacking. Okay, so OH and Cl will be the attacking groups here. So we will be having CH2 single bond CH single bond CH2 Cl. Then two valencies are freed, isn't it, by the breaking of this double bond. And to the first carbon this chlorine will be joining, and to the second carbon OH will be joining. Okay, then again on heating this compound to 200 degrees Celsius in presence of calcium oxide. So what happens is that again one HCl molecule will be eliminated from this portion. Okay, that is from this chlorine, and from this carbon one hydrogen will be eliminated. So this will be joined together with the help of an oxygen atom. Okay, so this becomes a ring form, isn't it? Or it will be in the presence of an ether form, O group. Okay, so the product will be like this: CH2 single bond CH single bond CH2 Cl. Then the remaining is one oxygen atom, isn't it? It will be linked together. So this compound is epichlorohydrin. Epichlorohydrin. So for the preparation of epichlorohydrin, the starting compound is allyl chloride, propene. Then it is on reacting with chlorine, we will be having allyl chloride. Then again on heating with water and chlorine, OH group and Cl group will be introduced at the double bond. Then on heating to 200 degrees Celsius with calcium oxide, one HCl will be eliminated, and we will be having this epichlorohydrin. Okay. Then the next is the preparation of the next compound, preparation of bisphenol. Preparation of bisphenol. So here for the preparation of bisphenol, 2 molecules of phenol and 1 molecule of acetone is required. Okay, 2 molecules of phenol. So I am writing phenol like this: C6H5H OH plus acetone CH3 C double bond O CH3 plus phenol. OH, H. Okay, so the elimination will be a water molecule, that is hydrogen from this position, this oxygen atom from this CO group, and hydrogen from this position. So this will be eliminated as a water molecule. So this will be reacting with NaOH at 50 degrees Celsius minus H2O. So H2O will be eliminated like this. Okay, hydrogen, then oxygen, then again another hydrogen. Okay, so water will be eliminated. So this will be joined together, a simple reaction. So the compound will be like this: OH, then C, CH3, CH3, then OH. Okay, so this compound is bisphenol. So we got bisphenol and epichlorohydrin. Then the next reaction for the preparation of epoxy resin is the condensation of bisphenol with epichlorohydrin. So we have to write that reaction. So the third step, that is the condensation of epichlorohydrin with bisphenol. Condensation of epichlorohydrin with bisphenol. So you have to write both the compounds. Bisphenol, first of all, OH, then here it becomes C, isn't it? CH3, then CH3, then OH. So this is bisphenol, right? Bisphenol plus epichlorohydrin, Cl, CH2, CH, CH2O. I am writing it like this. Okay, so this is epichlorohydrin. Okay, so here elimination takes place from this OH group, that is hydrogen, and chlorine will be eliminated like this. Okay, HCl will be eliminated. Again, condensation reaction. So in presence of an alkaline catalyst, 60 degrees Celsius. See here, n molecules of bisphenol we are taking. So minus n molecules of HCl. So this hydrogen will also be removing as HCl, isn't it? With another epichlorohydrin. So the product will be like this: C6H5. Here one O, then again bond, then single bond, CCH3, then CCH3, then C6H5, then again O, then CH2, then CH, then CH2, then oxygen atom. Okay, so this is the compound. So N times. Okay, so this is epoxy resin. So epoxy resin, 3 steps are there. First is the preparation of bisphenol, second one preparation of epichlorohydrin, and the third one condensation of epichlorohydrin with bisphenol. Next is coming to the properties of this epoxy resins. Properties, I will be giving the notes, so you have to study from that. Okay, don't skip the properties and uses. It will be asked in your university examinations usually. Next is properties. Epoxy resins, due to the presence of very stable ether linkage. This is the ether linkage, isn't it? See, this is the ether linkage. CH, single bond CH2O. Ether linkage. So epoxy resins, due to the presence of very stable ether linkages, have high chemical resistance to water, various solvents, acids, alkalis, and other chemicals. They are highly flexible, and due to the presence of crosslinks, they are tough and heat resistant. The polar nature of the molecules produces excellent adhesion quality. Okay, So these are some of the properties. So they are highly flexible. They have got crosslinks. If a compound, or if a polymer is having several crosslinks, the polymer will be very tough and strong. Okay, and also they are heat resistant. And also the polar nature of the molecules, it provides excellent adhesion quality. Adhesion means some bonding quality or sticking quality. Okay, so these are the properties. Then coming to the uses, as surface coatings and adhesives, then for skid resistant surfaces for highways, then molds made from epoxy resins are used for the production of components for aircrafts and automobiles. See, it is used in the production of components of aircraft, so the aircrafts and also for automobiles. So we can say that it is very tough, isn't it? Very strong product. Then the next one, as used as laminating materials and in electrical equipments. So these are some of the important uses of epoxy resins. Then the next is the fifth one, that is the silicone resins. It is also another important resin. Silicone resins. See, the silicone resins, it will be having SiO linkages. Okay, this will be having silicon oxygen linkages, and also it will be having organic radicals attached to it. It will be having organic radicals, that is the alkyl groups will be attached to this silicon atoms. Organic radicals attached with the silicon atoms. So for example, one silicone resin I will be writing Cr, Si, R, then again R, then O, then Si, R, then again R, then O, like this it goes on. Okay, so this is the repeating unit n times, then again Si, R, R. What is the valency of silicon? The same as carbon, isn't it? 4, valency is 4. So 4 valencies, they are satisfied by, see here, the silicon oxygen linkage is present, isn't it? That is one characteristic feature. Silicon oxygen linkages are present. Then organic radicals are attached with the silicon atom. See, the organic radicals, this R, isn't it? R group, it is attached with the silicon atoms. So these are called as, this type of polymer, it is called as silicone resins. Next is the preparation of the silicone resins. Preparation of silicone resins. So this silicone resins, they are prepared by the reaction of silicon with alkyl halide. Alkyl halide, it will be having a general formula Rx, alkyl halide, or it can be a silicon halide. Okay, so silicon, these resins can be prepared by mixing silicones with alkyl halide or silicon halide with Grignard reagent. Grignard reagent is RMgX, alkyl magnesium halide. So two types of reactions are possible. The first one, combination with silicone and alkyl halide. Second one is the combination of silicone halide and alkyl magnesium halide. So we can write the reactions. We can write the two reactions. The first one, that is CH3Cl, alkyl chloride. Alkyl chloride with silicon, isn't it? So we will be having CH3SiCl. Okay, so if the reaction is continuing again, what happens? The product will be CH3 twice SiCl2. Okay, so the reaction will be continuing like this. Then the second category, reaction of silicon halide with alkyl magnesium halide. Second one, silicon halide SiCl4 plus 3 CH3MgCl, giving the product will be CH3 thrice SiCl. CH3 thrice, 3 molecules of CH3, isn't it? So CH3 thrice SiCl. Then again on further reaction, what happens? The product will be CH3 4 times Si. Okay, that is tetramethyl silicane. Okay, or it is silicane. So these are organosilicon chlorides. Organosilicon chlorides. So these are the methods of preparation of this silicone resins. Then these organosilicon chlorides, they are then hydrolyzed. They are then hydrolyzed to form, undergo hydrolysis to form the corresponding polymer. Okay, if n number of this organosilicon chlorides undergoes controlled hydrolysis to give this organosilicon polymer. Next is some of the silicon resins. The first one, that is dimethyl silicon dichloride. First compound is dimethyl silicon dichloride. Dimethyl silicon dichloride. Okay, so this dimethyl silicon dichloride, it is a bifunctional compound. It's a bifunctional compound. That means it will be having two reactive groups present. It is a bifunctional, and also it yield long chain polymers. It yield long chain polymers. So let us write this dimethyl silicon dichloride. That means two alkyl groups and two chloride groups. Okay, so Cl, CH3, CH3, n molecules. Okay, on hydrolysis. Hydrolysis means this 2 HCl will be replaced by 2 OH groups. 2 HCl will be replaced by 2 OH groups. So here eliminating 2 molecules of HCl. So we will be having Si, then CH3, then 2 OH groups will be present instead of this chlorine. Okay, so again this will be n number, n molecules. Again elimination of a water molecule. So here water will be eliminated with another this compound, another dihydroxy compound. So from one of the compound, this hydrogen will be eliminated. Okay, hydrogen will be eliminated. So we will be having SiO groups. That is SiO, then CH3, then CH3. So this is the compound so formed. This is highly unstable, and again this on polymerization with n number of molecules, we will be having O, Si, O, then CH3, n times. Okay, so that means it had undergone polymerization. So we can expand this particular polymer, or we can write it as O, Si, CH3, then again O, then again Si, CH3, then O, then Si, CH3, O. Like this it will be extending. So this is the polymer. Okay, so this is dimethyl silicon polymer. Dimethyl silicon polymer. Dimethyl silicon polymer, or it is called as, otherwise called as silicon rubber. Silicon rubber. Okay, then the next compound, second one, that is trimethyl silicon chloride. Trimethyl silicon chloride. Trimethyl silicon chloride means it will be having 3 methyl groups and 1 Cl group. So it is a monofunctional, that is one replaceable group is present, that is one chlorine atom is present. So it is monofunctional, and also it is a chain stopper. That means the reaction will be stopping by the replacement of this one chlorine atom. Okay, so this is a monofunctional and a chain stopper. So let us write this compound, trimethyl silicon chloride. That is CH3, then again Si, then Cl, CH3, then CH3. So trimethyl group. So 2 molecules of this compound combines. Then again on hydrolysis. Hydrolysis means 2 molecules of HCl will be removed. Sorry, 1 HCl will be removed. So what happens, this HCl will be replaced by 1 OH group. So we will be having CH3, Si, CH3, then CH3, then single bond, here OH, isn't it? Here will be OH. So 2 molecules of this particular compound will be obtained. Then in the next step, minus H2O. Minus H2O from these two molecules. So what happens? This will be combining with another OH, so that water will be eliminated, isn't it? So the remaining will be an ether linkage, O linkage. So the compound will be CH3, Si, then CH3, then again CH3, then O, then Si, CH3, CH3, CH3. Okay, so this is another silicon polymer. Okay, obtained by the polymerization of this trimethyl silicon chloride. Then one more cross-linked polymer is there, that is monomethyl silicon trichloride. Third one, monomethyl silicon trichloride. It is trifunctional. It is trifunctional and also it gives cross-linked polymer. Trifunctional and it gives cross-linked polymer. That means, see here, 3 replaceable chlorine atoms are present. Okay, CH3, the compound is like this, CH3, SiCl, Cl. So 3 replaceable chlorine atoms are present. So on hydrolysis, 3 molecules of water. So 3 HCl will be removed, isn't it? So 1 Cl, then second one, then third one, 3 Cl. So the compound will be CH3, Si, then OH, OH, OH. Okay, so see, if a particular atom, it is having more than one OH group, it is highly an unstable compound. Okay, so this compound is a highly unstable compound. Again, this compound polymerizes to form. So you see, water will be eliminated from these OH groups. So it will be forming a cross-linked polymer. So the compound will be CH3, then Si, and again this at this part O linkage, isn't it? O, then again Si. So here also O. So instead of all the chlorine atoms, it will be replaced by SiO linkages. Here also O, then here oxygen atom, here oxygen atom. Okay, then at this position Si, then here Si, then one CH3 group, then again this will be continued, again oxygen atom, like this. Okay, so this is a cross-linked polymer. Cross-linked polymer. Cross-linked polymer. Okay, so this is how we can prepare the last type of silicon rubber from monomethyl silicon trichloride. These are all simple reactions. And also one more topic that is remaining, that is some of the characteristics of this compound. Properties of this compound. See here, properties. Due to the presence of SiO links, they exhibit outstanding stability at very high temperature. In the previous compound also we had discussed, isn't it? Due to the presence of SiO linkage, the compound will be very highly stable. Then it will be stable at high temperature, good water resistant, good oxidation stability, and also but the chemical resistance, it is lower than that of plastics. Okay, so these are some of the characteristics. Next we can go through the molecular weight of the polymers. I think that topic you might have studied, isn't it? I will be just mentioning since it is in the syllabus. You might have studied in another organic portion, I think. Regarding molecular weight of the polymers. See, this molecular weight of a polymer, it is usually expressed in 2 different ways. Okay, molecular weight of the polymers. Normally polymers will be having a 10,000s or lakhs of molecules attached to each other, isn't it? So many number of molecules are attached to it. So what happens? The molecular mass will be very high. So this molecular mass, it is usually expressed in 2 different ways. That is the first one, that is the number average molecular mass. Number average molecular mass, that it is represented by m bar n. I don't know whether somebody taught you this portion. Number average molecular mass, and the second one, that is the weight average molecular mass. weight average molecular mass, and it is denoted by M bar W. Okay, number average and weight average molecular mass. So first of all, we can go through this number average molecular mass. See here, this total mass of the molecule, it is divided by the total number of molecules. Okay, total mass of the molecule, total mass of molecules divided by total number of molecules. That gives the number average molecular mass. Okay, so suppose if N1, N2, etc. N1, N2, N3, etc. are the number of molecules, and M1, M2, M3, etc. let it be their molecular masses. Okay, N1, N2, N3, etc. be the number of molecules. Okay, these are the number of molecules. And M1, M2, M3 be the molecular masses of these molecules. So we can write the number average molecular mass as Mn bar is equal to N1 M1 plus N2 M2 plus N3 M3 plus etc. divided by N1 plus N2 plus N3 plus etc. Okay, so that is equal to, we can write it as, in brief, we can write it as the summation of Ni Mi, isn't it? Summation of Ni Mi divided by summation of Ni. Okay, summation of Ni Mi divided by summation of Ni. Then the next is the weight average molecular mass. Weight average molecular mass denoted by M bar W. See here, in the weight average molecular mass, the formula we can write it as M bar W, that is equal to N1 M1 square plus N2 M2 square plus N3 M3 square plus etc. divided by N1 M1 plus N2 M2 plus N3 M3 plus etc. Then again, or we can write it in brief like this: M bar W is equal to sigma Ni Mi square divided by sigma Ni Mi. Okay, so this is weight average and number average molecular mass. So you have to study this formula also. Sometimes a problem might be asked. Okay, so while giving the notes, I will be giving one problem also, that you have to do it by yourself. So the polymer portions are over. Only this much portions you have to study for your examination. So please do the polymer portions very neatly. You have to study it very clearly. And now we have the remaining portions are there. I will be putting the videos also for the same. Okay, I will be posting the notes also in your classroom. Thank you.